The film opens with a quote from the Bible, followed by a scene of a woman named Sophia driving down a country road. Upon reaching a secluded spot in Wales, Sophia rents a secluded house, meticulously inspecting every detail and symbol. She even goes as far as to bribe the estate agent to ensure her privacy. Later, she encounters Solomon, an occultist with a volatile temperament. Sophia is keen to utilize Solomon's expertise to accomplish a goal she has in mind, so he consents to inspect the house. After Solomon completes his examination of the house, Sophia offers him a cup of coffee. He notices that she isn't partaking, leading him to deduce that Sophia has already begun her purification process. As their conversation progresses, Solomon inquires about Sophia's dietary habits. She elaborates on her abstention from alcohol, adherence to strict dietary rules, and avoidance of any intimate activities or self-touch. Solomon then questions Sophia about her intent, which she reveals to be the Abramelin operation. However, when Solomon learns that Sophia's motivation is love, he abruptly leaves. Sophia immediately pursues Solomon, pleading for his endorsement, but he adamantly refuses to perform the ritual. Despite his refusal, she remains persistent and drives him back to town, continuing to press her request. At the station, Sophia continues her attempts to persuade Solomon to participate in the ritual with her through bribery, but he disregards her efforts. Eventually, Sophia concedes and reveals the truth. It turns out that her motivation isn't love, but rather a desire to communicate with her deceased son. This revelation prompts Solomon to agree to assist her, although he expresses disappointment over Sophia's initial dishonesty, emphasizing the importance of honesty for the success of the ritual. Sophia then assures Solomon that he can demand whatever he wishes in return for his help. They return to the house, where Solomon ensures that Sophia is prepared for the daunting task of confronting actual angels and demons. This undertaking will require them to endure several days without sleep or food, and to perform other physically demanding rituals, which will undoubtedly take a significant mental toll. In the following days, Solomon instructs Sophia to prepare and purchase groceries. Once they commence, they won't be able to leave for several months. As Sophia is loading the groceries into her car, she hears the sound of a baby crying and some chanting. She scans the parking lot and spots a man bent over a baby. Suddenly, Sophia is startled by Victoria, her younger sibling. Over a meal, Victoria expresses her profound worry about Sophia's handling of her grief. However, Sophia harbors resentment because Victoria still has living children. Consequently, she rejects Victoria's offer of assistance. In the meantime, Solomon is busy preparing the house for the ritual. That evening, Solomon queries Sophia about the languages she speaks. His intention, however, is merely to ascertain whether Sophia is being truthful, as purity is crucial for the ritual. He also advises Sophia to take a walk before the ritual commences, as they will be confined to the house for several months once it begins. The following day, Solomon gives Sophia one last opportunity to back out before he encloses them within a circle of salt. Despite the challenges, Sophia is resolute in her decision to proceed. The next day, Sophia oversleeps, prompting Solomon to wake her up by splashing her with water. He then chastises her for oversleeping. Subsequently, Sophia expresses her anger at Solomon for his abrupt awakening method. However, Solomon remains indifferent. In response, Sophia reminds Solomon that she is compensating him for his services. In a fit of anger, Solomon shatters a glass bowl, expressing his indifference towards the money and reprimanding Sophia for her argumentative behavior. He reminds Sophia that she had agreed to his conditions and committed to following his instructions to ensure the success of the ritual. As part of the physical cleansing process, Solomon instructs her to consume a toadstool. During the night, Sophia experiences a nightmare about the tragic loss of her son. The following day, Solomon educates Sophia about the Abramelin procedure, illustrating magic circles and triangles drawn all over the floor. Their ultimate objective is to invoke Sophia's guardian angel to request the favors they desire. However, when Sophia persistently questions the timing of the angel's appearance, Solomon is unable to provide a definitive answer. The day progresses with additional ritualistic steps until Solomon announces his intention to disconnect the house from the outside world. Consequently, Sophia is confined within the circle for the next 2 days, deprived of food, water, and even toilet breaks. On the third morning, they are allowed a brief respite for food and water, but this rigorous routine continues for another 6 days. Despite the harsh conditions, Sophia endures, even when she is forced to urinate on herself. Subsequently, Sophia inquires about how they will ascertain their progress. Solomon reassures her that they are indeed making headway, particularly after witnessing a black bird collide with their window. As they persist with the ritualistic steps, the physical strain on Sophia becomes increasingly evident. Nevertheless, Solomon insists that she persevere. They eventually reach the stage of the forgiveness ceremony. However, Sophia is unwilling to participate, asserting that she doesn't practice forgiveness. In response to this, Solomon devises an alternative solution by having her drink his blood. Despite her initial reluctance, Solomon compels her to consume it entirely. In her room, Sophia gazes at a photograph of herself and her son. Suddenly, she realizes that an item from her possessions is missing. In a conversation with Solomon, she questions if their actions are wrong, but he reassures her that they are not. Before they separate, Sophia inquires if he has been rummaging through her belongings because she can't find something. Solomon, however, is adamant that he hasn't taken anything. One evening, while Sophia is attentively listening to some noise on the floor, she is startled by an abrupt sound. Solomon interprets this as a sign of their presence being detected. As days pass, Solomon and Sophia begin to understand each other better. Sophia even confides in Solomon about her repetitive nightmares involving her son. Eventually, a moment arrives when Solomon persuades Sophia of the necessity to engage in physical intimacy as a crucial aspect of the ritual. Consequently, she acquiesces to his request and prepares herself meticulously. Subsequently, he instructs Sophia to undress before him while he engages in self-stimulation. Contrarily, he refrains from making any physical contact with Sophia. It is later revealed that their ritual did not require them to sleep together, as Sophia's purity was essential. Solomon had merely exploited her to satisfy his own desires. This revelation leads Sophia to express her anger towards him before she departs. The following day, she seeks retribution by blending her urine with Solomon's meal. Despite the challenges they face, they are compelled to persevere with the ritual, even as Sophia reaches a point where she contemplates giving up. Although Solomon persistently encourages her to carry on, Sophia begins to feel disheartened as no visible progress has been made thus far. Nevertheless, Solomon highlights that they can sense subtle changes occurring, assuring her of their eventual success. Encouraged by his words, they press on. Eventually, Sophia discovers a flower in one of the corridors, which Solomon interprets as a significant indication that the ritual is indeed taking effect, as it couldn't have simply blown inside the house. As the promise of gradual results surfaces, Sophia is filled with a renewed sense of resolve, sensing that the end is near. This prompts Solomon to encourage her to persist in sealing the chambers. During one of her moments in the circles, she experiences a shower of golden leaves. In addition, they begin to engage in more conversations during their leisure time. However, after some time, Sophia starts to feel the effects of cabin fever and descends into despair once again. This leads to her losing her temper with Solomon due to the ritual's lack of effectiveness. This prompts Solomon to suspect that Sophia isn't being completely honest about her motives. Despite Sophia's denial, Solomon senses her deceit. Consequently, Sophia admits that she has no desire to communicate with her son. Sophia's true desire is to seek retribution against those responsible for her child's death. This revelation infuriates Solomon. Sophia justifies her concealment of intentions by stating that Solomon might have refused to perform the ritual had he known. However, Solomon counters by asserting that honesty and determination are more important than intentions. Despite the tension, they have come too far to abandon the ritual. One night, as part of the ritual, Solomon awakens Sophia. Due to her dishonesty, he considers her impure and decides to initiate a fresh start. He instructs her to enter the bathtub and begins to douse her with water. As the ritual progresses, Solomon submerges Sophia in the water until she ceases to breathe. Following this, he resuscitates Sophia using cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. Sophia is understandably upset with Solomon due to the recent events. However, Solomon rationalizes her rebirth as a necessary step to realign the ritual. In her anger, Sophia shoves Solomon, inadvertently stabbing him with a kitchen knife. Solomon immediately interprets this as an indication that the ritual is taking effect. He views it as a form of recompense he must pay for putting Sophia's life at risk. With the limited resources available, Sophia begins to care for Solomon's wound. In an attempt to distract himself from the pain, Solomon inquires about Sophia's son. She reveals that her son was abducted from his daycare center. Despite this, the investigation was concluded without any convictions. Subsequently, Solomon instructs Sophia to stitch his wound, using whiskey as a disinfectant. Sophia then inquires about Solomon's wish once the angel manifests. He expresses his desire for invisibility, not as a superhuman ability, but as a means to live a secluded life. Following this, Solomon cautions Sophia that unusual occurrences will begin to unfold. However, he assures her that he will help her achieve her revenge. The next day, his prediction comes true as Sophia begins to hear various sounds throughout the house. These include the cry of a baby, thumping sounds behind a door, and the sight of a figure moving in one of the rooms. Upon inspection, she also observes a cut on the wall that appears to be bleeding. As they sit together, Solomon queries about the nature of the revenge Sophia seeks. Sophia responds candidly that she desires the demise of those responsible for her son's death. Interestingly, these culprits are merely adolescents who were dabbling in occult practices. As Sophia persists with the ritual, Solomon's condition deteriorates due to his worsening wound. The following day, Sophia observes Solomon's declining health and questions if they should cease the ritual. However, Solomon insists on continuing despite his condition. Solomon struggles to maintain clarity of thought and frequently forgets the requirements of the ritual. His wound progressively worsens, to the point where he begins to vomit. One night, Sophia is awakened by the sound of her son's voice emanating from behind her door. Sophia stands firm against the desperate pleas of an entity impersonating her son, seeking entry. The imposter's frustration escalates as Sophia continues to deny access, leading to violent door pounding. This frightful experience drives Sophia into Solomon's comforting arms, who reassures her that the entity isn't her son. Solomon emphasizes that these disturbances are signs of the ritual's progress and encourages Sophia to welcome them instead of fearing them. The next day, despite his struggle to stand, Solomon endures and attempts to breathe through his wound. At night, Sophia perceives a more menacing presence in the house, marked by a glowing light in the room's darkness and a harsh, chanting voice. Later on, Sophia lies beside Solomon, fighting to stay alive, but his condition has deteriorated to its final stage, leading him to weep over his longing for his sister. The following morning, Solomon's death in his sleep is an expected event. Now alone in a large house with an incomplete ritual, Sophia attempts to carry on with the task at hand and turns to Solomon's books for guidance on the ritual. However, she finds that all the content has been crossed out, rendering it illegible. Overwhelmed by a sense of impending failure, Sophia breaks down in tears. Left with no alternatives, she steps outside, breaking the boundary of the salt circle. Despite a brief hesitation, Sophia walks away, only to find herself returning to the house. As Solomon had forewarned, the ritual binds her to the house until its completion. Once back inside, she encounters a distressing sight: her son's photograph amidst a pool of vomit and Solomon's lifeless body strewn across the hallway. When her candle extinguishes at night, she attempts to relight it, only to be confronted by the apparition of various demons. Upon a second glance, she finds that the demons have vanished. However, the house is suddenly filled with ominous growling sounds. In response, she flees from the demons and secures herself in a room, ensuring the door is barricaded with a chair. Once again, a demon impersonating Sophia's son taunts her. Despite this, Sophia seizes the opportunity to converse with it as if it were her son, even though the demon admits to using her son's voice to instill fear in her. The following day, the terror seems to have subsided as Sophia ventures out of the room. However, she then observes dried leaves scattered in the hallway. Suddenly, demons emerge from the shadows. Among them is one that bears a resemblance to her son, and another that could potentially be his abductor. As more demons materialize, one of them strikes Sophia, rendering her unconscious as they drag her to the basement. She finds herself surrounded and seized by the demons. In a horrifying turn of events, they sever one of her fingers. Sophia's screams of agony echo through the house as she flees from the demons, all the while uttering apologies. Just as she nears the top of the stairs, a sudden burst of radiant light shields her from the demons and guides her back to safety. A colossal angel materializes within the circle in the room, awaiting Sophia's request. Sophia continues to express her remorse to the angel. However, instead of seeking revenge, she requests the ability to forgive. This prompts a smile from the angel. Subsequently, Sophia performs a water burial for Solomon at a nearby lake. In the end, she departs from the house, having finally completed the ritual. The completion of the ritual came at a heavy price: the loss of a life, a finger, and a significant toll on her mental well-being. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.